Hi, I'm AC dumlao. I use they, them, and he, him pronouns. I am one of the Grand Marshals for New York City Pride March 2023. Well, Pride, many people think of Pride as, June and Pride Month and marches or parades. But I'm a big advocate for Pride 365, LGBTQI plus Pride, 365 days of the year, 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, being in community with other LGBTQI plus community members, siblings, and, celebrating ourselves in a world that is less than fully accepting of who we are. When was my first Pride? In college, which is when I came out, I never made it to Pride during the summers because I was a theater major and I was doing a lot of theater programming in the summer. So I wasn't able to make it down in June because that was like the peak of our programming. So it was probably 9-10 years ago was my first Pride, and I was like in my mid-20s. And yeah, I went to New York City Pride, like the big Manhattan one, and it was very overwhelming. I wore a lot of rainbow items, and it was really special to finally get to go to this big event that I've kind of watched from afar for a long time and wanted to be a part of. Non-binary means not fully identifying as female or male, man or woman, but that is an umbrella term that could mean many things. You could identify as both male and female, a little percent of each, feeling like you don't have a gender at all. And so non-binary is really just an umbrella for people who are outside of the kind of male-female binary. So how would I describe non-binary to a Filipino elder? Well, first, I'm a first-generation American, and I was never taught Tagalog or Filipino, so I would be saying this in English. And I would just say, I don't feel fully like a girl, which is how I was raised. I like to dress in different types of clothes, quote-unquote boys' clothes. I think if I was speaking, to a Filipino elder, obviously gender and sexuality are not the same thing, but I think having my partner is a woman, I'm a bisexual woman, and so kind of explaining generally that, I'm in love with a woman and that the way I appear with my super short haircut is just kind of part of who I am out in the world. But honestly, I've gone on a big journey of what it means to talk about identity in the context of, my parents or elders, and that or just generally when it comes to allyship is that just getting pronouns right or naming someone's gender is different from truly accepting them and understanding them. So basically using someone's correct pronouns can be, performative and surface level if there isn't that deep innate understanding this is this person's true self. And if I am a older generation Filipino or not, that, may still be figuring out getting pronouns right 100% of the time, but understanding this is AC, AC is not a girl, it doesn't really wear dresses, but sometimes does, and I see them for who they are and I'm not trying to change them. That's what's most important to me, and that's kind of how I navigate being myself around family members and community members. It is really surreal to be a Grand Marshal. It is something that I have, always dreamt of being. Being a New Yorker all my life and attending Pride for, the last decade or so. The Grand Marshals are at the very front of the march, and, they have their own open convertible, and it's really overwhelming. It's really humbling. I still feel a little, kind of imposter syndrome or embarrassment about like kind of taking up the space, and wondering if just not fully, I guess, letting myself receive the compliments and the congratulations. But I'm trying really hard to be more open to that, because I think it's super important to be representing as a Filipino person, first generation American, trans non-binary person, queer person, and as a person that, my career is in LGBTQI plus advocacy and inclusion in sports, which is a really important issue right now. And so it's a lot to take in. It's many feelings, but a lot of excitement, and ultimately, being proud of myself. Big older sibling, parental energy, comfortable shoes, which can be heels if they're comfortable for you, but I'm always wearing my like comfortable dad shoes, sunscreen, of course. It might rain, so an umbrella, but never hurts to have a hat and sunglasses and water. The parade or the march can be pretty long, so just prepare to be outside and on your feet for that long. And big crowds can be overwhelming. They're overwhelming to me, so just like pacing yourself, and you don't have to stay the whole time. You can go off to a side street and have some quiet time. If you are in New York City, the New York City Pride March is Sunday, June 25th, stepping off at noon. Information is at newyorkcitypride.com or at NYC Pride on Instagram or all the places. And then it will also be on TV. I'm pretty sure it'll be on physical TVs, ABC 7 New York. Yeah. Would love for anyone to join us, virtually or in person, for Pride this year.